Following is a Scotch Media production.
Hey everybody, Dr. Shawn Robinson here with you with the Easewell Podcast. I want to thank you for all being here with us today. We have an amazing guest. I'm so excited to have him on. Mr. Lee Arnett. It's so nice to have you in, sir.
Hey, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, no, I've been super hyped to have you on. I know you have a lot of great experience in the art world. I know you've also been a chiropractic advocate for a while as well. Definitely. So I was really happy to have you on and start to be able to kind of share some of your experiences with not only the art world, but also how chiropractic has been able to help you bridge and kind of reach the goals and milestones of your career and things like that. And I thought it was really appropriate also the fact that you did the mural inside of the downtown Easewell Chiropractic Clinic. I just thought this was perfect to have you on.
Yeah.
So let's get it started off. Talk to me. What started the passion for Mr. Arnett's art career here?
From a young age, I think I was always like scribbling or drawing, or whether it was on the walls or school desk or my test papers in school. And I think my mom, thankfully, noticed from a young age and was always, super supportive. And coming from a small town in Alabama, there weren't many artists to begin with, much less, guy artists. And so it was pretty cool to, have like such a strong supporter from such a young age. She always just kind of, when we would go to the grocery store, instead of getting a toy, if I, behaved, I would get like a drawing pad or like a pack of markers or something. Just through the years, I'd get in trouble at school for drawing on me and my desk and test papers and stuff. When I was about, I guess maybe 8 or 9, and I kind of really, started learning about like art and art history, and just kind of, I guess, realized that it was a career path, something you could do, not just as a hobby.
Yeah.
She actually hired this art teacher from Montgomery, Alabama, which was like about an hour away. And she came for a couple weeks, like once a week or so, to just come kind of teach me some basics and just work on a few techniques and stuff. It was really cool. And then apparently one day she wanted me to draw a pine cone. And I told my mom that, my mom told me this, that I didn't want to draw a pine cone. I wanted to draw what I wanted to draw. And so
Rebel.
Mom was like, all right, well, we won't do that anymore. And so pretty much, just kept through it. And when I was 18, my mom was like, you should really think about art school, moving to like a city, where you could really pursue this. And she's like, Atlanta has the Art Institute. You could go for graphic design or fashion, advertising, whatever. And
is that a common thing for a lot of artists to pursue, like the actual like university and things like that as well? Or
I mean, I think so. I definitely think it helps with networking. And so what I did actually was I went for probably about 2.5 years full time. And during school, they were like, it's all about who you know. It's all about who you know. Like networking is just as important as your skills. Yeah. I was like at the end of a quarter, and my granddad, who was helping me with school, he was like, if you want to take a break, just kind of reset, you can. Ended up doing that and met a really good friend of mine now, Clint Bearden, who's a super talented local artist. He came to I got a show at a small gallery, and he came and he was like, I really like your work. He was like, I do installs for corporate offices and stuff like that. He was like, have you ever done like mural work or anything? And I was like, not really, but definitely always been interested in it and wanted to. And so he brought me on. I think our first job was for Chick-fil-A headquarters.
Okay.
And down in South Atlanta, and it was pretty cool. And then that actually kind of forged this path that I just continued down, and he kept bringing me on for work. And so I actually didn't end up going back to school to finish. I kind of just saw this opportunity, and they kept saying, it's all about who you know anyway. Right. We clicked and we worked really well together. He has a really traditional kind of classic style where I have like a modern street.
That's what I was about to ask. How would you identify yourself as an artist if you had to group yourself in the box? Like, I know I've seen a lot of your art, and you do have a wide variety of things that you like to kind of mix around with. So, but what if you had to put a box on it? What kind of box would it be?
I think overall I'm pretty abstract.
Okay.
There's not too many things that I usually see or, want to draw like a certain thing.
Right.
I usually paint, this may sound corny, but, I really paint like with my intuition and with my mood
that's not corny.
my energy.
Yeah. I think that's how real true art has to be though, right? It's from the soul kind of, right?
For sure. And I kind of always thought, there's a difference between a painter and an artist. A painter, can paint whatever he sees, a portrait, a subject, whatever.
And you're talking like realism as far as like...
Yeah, or anything really. A painter can look at something and paint it, replicate it. Whereas an artist can come up with a subject and paint it.
So that's my next question is what gives you some of these ideas? Because I'm assuming that you do get to maybe get a little bit of creative control with designing murals and the layout and things like that. Is there any like particular go-to thing that just is always like, oh, that's where I'm going to get my idea stormed from? Or do you just kind of let them come? Or I'm so curious in the process, because it just seems to me it's like you're taking something out of thin air and bringing it to life. So I'm just always amazed by that.
Yeah, I think it's a healthy balance of both. A lot of times when I do like my canvas paintings, I really don't have a plan or an idea. I really just kind of, go with how I'm feeling. If I feel like
freestyle, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I feel like, this green might look good right here, I'll just scribble it right there. If a blue may look good over here, I'll do it. And the good thing about painting is you can always go over it. There really isn't like a mistake. You can always kind of fix it or whatever.
Those trees now. Let's make
yeah,
some
exactly.
clouds,
like happy mistakes, And so, I think it really just comes down to a balance. With a lot of the corporate jobs that I do, we get like, an overall idea that they kind of want, and then we're asked to kind of elaborate that or,
so
kind of bring it to life. Yeah. And then sometimes, we have complete freedom and they're like, hey, we have this wall. Like, what would you do? Yeah, what would you do on this wall? Yeah. So those are fun too. But, it's really just fun being able to take somebody's kind of idea or an idea that I have and really just develop it and see it kind of come to life. That's probably the coolest thing about it.
Absolutely. I could totally imagine that. Outside of art, is there anything else that you kind of like to do in the free time? Any particular activities or anything like that?
Skateboarding, for sure.
Absolutely.
Skateboarding for, I guess 16, 17 years
That
now.
long.
I got my board, I think, when I was like 15 in Rockford, Alabama.
Yeah.
And me and my friend Chase Hay started skating in my driveway. It was like a 20 by 20 foot concrete pad. And that's like, we just started skating and, I've been skating ever since, thankfully.
That's awesome. Do you ever see any like links in between like skating and being an artist as well? Do you ever see any kind of crossover with that?
Yeah, especially in like the self-expression kind of realm. I feel like skating is so free and, what really kind of appealed to me with skateboarding was like, at the time when I first started, I was really into baseball, played baseball for like 8 years, soccer, all that. And so I was, I love playing sports and being on teams and stuff, but there was something really appealing about not having any like rules, quote unquote, about skating.
No coach.
Yeah, and like no uniforms. Like you can wear what you want, and you have your own style. There's not like a form that you have to follow. And I was like, really intrigued, and started getting into skateboarding, and I was like, man, this is like really cool, and it was really fun, and it was good exercise, and it was just something for me and my friends to do, in a little town. So really became like a big passion of mine for sure.
That's awesome. I'm really glad you have like another little outlet to be able to express yourself through and be able to have that creativity with that as well. And like you said, be able to have something that's like fun to do, and also exercise. I feel like that's
Yeah.
always like a important thing is if you can find something that is exercise but still be able to like have fun with
Yeah,
it,
for
then it
sure.
doesn't feel like exercise. I
For
feel like that's
sure.
always the coolest thing. It's like, oh yeah, I found out that I really like swimming, and now I'm
Mm-hmm.
swimming 3 or 4 times a week, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling the best of it. I love when I hear those kinds of stories from like different patients and things like that. So I'm glad you found another
Yeah.
outlet and things like that. So moving on with that, with skating, I guess you must have a lot of injuries, falls, and things like that that comes with it. I'm sure the concrete can be unforgiving. What do you do to kind of remedy yourself or get back? I'm sure sometimes those jobs can be a little strenuous and tasking, and if you're not feeling your best, then that might kind of even take a little toll on itself too. Is there anything that you maybe do outside of the ordinary to really can remedy any of those issues?
Chiropractic definitely, chiropractic care like regularly,
Mm-hmm.
definitely between painting and, being on the ladder and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, as well as skating. Definitely give a lot of credit to chiropractic for keeping me balanced physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely like those days where, stress and work and everything kind of piles up. And if I happen to be getting an adjustment a couple of days after, I always feel like that just kind of, you know, levitates. Like it just kind of goes away. And not only do I feel good physically, but also mentally. And I always feel like that's when I do my best work as well.
I love that.
But really it's, stretching, just trying to stay as active as possible, just so when I am active and, rolling and working and climbing ladders and stuff, it's not as strenuous on my body.
That's nice. Now, I remember we had spoken a while back about you had a car accident and that had hurt. What was it? The
Right shoulder.
right shoulder.
Yeah, like I
right?
think my rotator cuff,
Oh, wow.
and the point where your chest and tri and bi come
Yeah,
together,
yeah, yeah.
that triangle point.
Yeah, yeah.
A person
Yeah.
ran a red light
Uh-huh.
and, hit my car on the front, and one hand was on the steering wheel, one hand was on like the gear shift.
Uh-huh.
And when she hit me, I like flung this way. And so it like yanked my shoulder, because I had my hand on my
Yeah.
grip and I was like gripping to stay on. And it really pulled my shoulder. I was actually at the time into competitive bodybuilding. Like I had just won a physique show. It was my first one, and I was about 20. And shoulder was affected. I stopped working out for probably about 2 years. Did a
Wow.
little bit of PT in between, and then probably about when I started coming to see you pretty regularly,
Yeah.
and we were working on it. It really did like help alleviate all that pain, and it really got it back to a stronger version, because so many paint strokes
Yeah.
up and down
Absolutely. That repetitive movement. Yeah. I can see how
definitely
that wear and tear.
would wear it out.
So you hear that, everybody. If there is an injury, you can get it taken care of. You don't have to let it turn into a crisis. You can get these things taken care of
Yes.
preemptively and still continue a
Yes.
good career, right? Even with this strenuous, repetitive motion. So
Definitely.
that's beautiful. That's
Definitely.
beautiful. Man, that's incredible. Living in Atlanta, I've already been in an accident myself. Knock on wood. Hope to see no more. So I hate that is a factor of living here. But remember that also, guys, that you are playing with people's lives, driving the vehicles out here. So let's just use a little consideration,
Yeah.
little caution, and think about one another while we're navigating out here.
For sure.
So yeah, no, well, I'm glad that you were able to recover from that and still be able to enjoy this journey and things
Yeah.
like that. So is there any
Same.
like kind of future plans that you're cooking up? Any kind of big things that you're really working on? Anything that you can even share? I don't know how the kind of things work with these kind of things, but any details of that?
I actually work a lot with Gensler.
Uh-huh.
They're actually the world's largest architectural and design firm.
Oh, wow.
They have offices all over the world and one in every state, just about. And I work with their Atlanta office a lot whenever they have their clients are like Google, Chick-fil-A,
Right.
and all
Okay.
these huge companies. They come to them and they're like, hey, we have this new office building and we have this budget, like trick it out for us, make
Yeah.
it look cool.
Yeah.
They design everything, and then they'll kind of bring it to us and they'll be like, hey, we have these murals, and, we price them out and everything. if we get it, then we just work with them, kind of develop the plan and develop all the designs. And, it's super fun working with them.
Yeah,
and,
that's a really cool part.
we just finished a big Google project in North Carolina that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
It was about a two-year long project. So it definitely kept me busy, as well as some local stuff. One of my favorite clients is Real Tacos here in Atlanta.
Oh, yes. I've heard of them.
They have a few locations around and amazing food, really great staff, like just really good people, good business, good food.
So that's cool. So you can have like a big project going on, and then like say if you have a little free time, somebody can hit you up in between, and you can still kind of pull. That's awesome. I really like that. So you've been doing this for a while. I see you have a lot of experience in it. Is there anything that you could pass on to like the aspiring artist out there, younger, older, in between, whatever? Is there any words of experience, advice that you can really kind of pass on? And
if you really have like a feeling about something, it can be literally anything. I feel like if your feeling and your passion, for it is strong enough, if you put the time into it, it'll become more than you could ever imagine. And, coming from a small town in Alabama, I'm kind of, a testimony to that in a way because, it's funny because people are always like, oh man, I wish I was creative. I wish I could paint. That's so cool that you get to do that. And I always think, I'm like, I don't know what else I would do if I wasn't an artist. Like it really is kind of my purpose. And thankfully, I was able to kind of figure that out early on rather than later. And, even my mom, she's like, I wish I could just like paint. Like I want to paint. And I'm like, you should get some canvases, get some paint, and just like literally just make some scribbles on and you'll see where it goes. Like it's just, I think like allowing yourself to not think about rules, because a lot of people are like, if I don't paint a Mona Lisa, then, it's not a painting. But it's like, dude, you can literally just make a few marks, do a few colors here and there, and just whatever you're feeling, just put it on the canvas, and you'll probably surprise yourself. Like you'll probably end up making something cooler than you thought you would have made. And I think a lot of times it's people's, perceptions and kind of ideas about how things should be. I think that really holds people back more than anything. Just allowing yourself to like try is probably like the biggest thing. And, like my granddad, he was like, if you want to take a break, from school and, he didn't really mean like pursue art career, full time, but that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, now is my chance to meet people like they've been telling us. I made an Instagram. I started putting my work out there, and sure enough, like it just started picking up, traction, and started doing art shows.
Awesome. Tell us the Instagram so people can follow you.
At Lee Arnett _ LEEARNETT_.
Perfect. Absolutely. I think that those kind of platforms are really cool for artists to be able to showcase their work and things like that. And like you said earlier, be able to network and just have that opportunity to have somebody see your art that may have not ever seen it without that platform. So that's a really cool thing that you're able to tap in and get plugged in with that and be able to show people all over like, this is me, Lee Arnett. This is my work. This is what I do. So it's awesome.
Because I was kind of late to the Instagram train, everybody's like, dude, make an Instagram. Like, it's a way for people to see your work. And sure enough,
it's like a little portfolio kind of.
Have people that have bought pieces in Spain and Brazil and, all over.
Social media.
Literally through Instagram.
So good and bad with social media, and that's definitely one of the good things that we can see out of it. I love that.
For sure.
That's awesome. So are you working on still like doing paintings and their shows or anything like that, or is that something that's kind of been a little tied up with that big Gensler job and things like that?
Yeah, it's I haven't done a show in probably like 4 years or so.
Okay.
Part of it is, murals just kind of took over, which isn't a bad thing.
Right.
It definitely kind of, is what allows me to be a full-time artist and do paintings in my free time. So it's not a bad thing, but the past few months I've definitely tried to, go to my local art store, Sam Flax. I should go hit them up. they're awesome. They've always looked out for me since I moved to Atlanta and really started pursuing art as a career.
Yeah.
They actually brought me on, and they were like, we would love to be a part of our team. And so they hooked me up with like a little sponsorship deal.
That's
And
awesome.
so I go get all my art supplies from them. And the last few months, I've really tried to, carve out time just to paint. Even if I end up covering the painting later because I don't really love it, I've still really been trying to carve out that time to paint, just because it really is like therapy. Like it's like a involuntary thing. Like it's almost like breathing. Like I do it, I have to do it, but it's not work. You know what I mean? Like it's still fun and enjoyable. It's almost like my reset time. Like just me and whatever I produce on paper or canvas, whatever. Like it's just me time. I get to zone out, just kind of forget everything, and definitely is important. So I've been trying to make more time the last couple months to really focus back on that and get back into my fine art for sure.
Nice. Another good point there. Make time for yourself.
Yes.
You can't pour from an empty cup. You really, truly can't. And so whatever it takes to get that cup filled back up and be able to pour back onto it, I promise you're going to be a better individual and make your community whatever better around you as well. And I know a lot of people will look at it as, oh, that's selfish. I look at it as more you're being selfish, not taking care of yourself to be able to put that out into the rest of the world. So I'm glad that you take the time to be able to do that, fill that cup up, and be able to keep spreading the love and the joy through the art world. Man, this is incredible. Is there anything else that you want to share or anything before we get out of here? And
it's awesome being on. I appreciate you guys having me. Absolutely. And it's always fun to kind of, a lot of times I forget kind of, the adventure, the journey that I've taken to get here. And so it's always cool to kind of reflect back and, think through things, how I got here and stuff, and kind of practice some gratitude for just everybody and everything that's happened along the way. My younger self would be like, I always think, I'm like, my younger self would be so stoked if he could see now. So that's always cool. I just always try to be grateful, and man, hopefully I can keep painting and skating as long as possible.
Heck yeah. As long as you got a good chiro by your side, I don't see any reason why you can't.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Hey, thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, this is our guest, Mr. Lee Arnett. Please go give him a follow. Hit up the socials. If you see anything you like, hit him up. He is local to here in Atlanta. Like you heard earlier, does murals, things like that. So if you're looking to spice up the building, anything like that, I'm sure this man would be happy to do it for you. Definitely. Thanks again for joining in, and we'll look forward to having that next guest on soon.